Hello, everyone. Welcome to the table. It is time to claim your seat and share your voices with us. Thank you so much for being here. It is Tuesday. What is the date? October 26th, and it's noon Eastern and 9 a.m. Pacific. I am so honored you are here with us. I know it takes some folks a few minutes to jump in, but we are so excited to have our guest with us today. I am going to just jump right in and introduce Jeanniey Walden, who is the Chief Innovation Officer over at DailyPay. And for those of you who follow me, you know I have a ton of love for our friends over at DailyPay and the work they do. And I'm just blown away by how they are truly transforming the way in which employees have access to money. And I wanted to bring Jeanniey forward to the stage today, or to the table today, because I'm really interested in hearing how access to money or on-demand pay can enhance your equity and inclusion programs, and also how we can take some of the transactional work we do within HR, because I know we talk about the future of HR and the transformation where we leave behind the transactional and we are strategic partners, which I fully believe that. But those transactional elements still have to happen, but we can change the way in which they happen, and we can change the meaning of how they happen. So Jeannie's going to share with us how, from on-demand pay perspective, we can transform those tactical elements into deep and meaningful points of connection with our employees. So welcome, Jeanniey. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me to finally have a seat at the table. I was telling my mom, I'm an only child, and every holiday I got stuck at the kids' table. Finally, my day at the kids' table is over. So I'm thrilled to be here and talk about these timely and so critically important topics, especially as everyone in HR is talking about not just DE&I, pay equity, pay transparency, and the whole nine yards. It's great to see that financial wellness is finally coming to the forefront, that employers are stepping up and owning a responsibility to do what they can and educating their employees and giving them opportunities and access to insights, information, education, and even their own money when they need it. It really
Right.
can change just the future direction for so many families. A very important topic.
It really is. And what's mind-boggling to me now that I've been kind of exposed to it, having been a customer of DailyPay, but also in our conversations, is how long overdue this transformation actually is. And when we kind of start to peel back the layers of financial inequity that exists, and we look at wellness, and whole person wellness includes financial wellness. And when I think traditionally, even when I was, in the CHRO seat, I thought financial wellness meant 401k participation and earning your way up to greater levels of compensation. But there's so many other elements that come into play when we talk about financial wellness, and part of that is access. And I'm in many ways embarrassed to say I had never thought about that part of it. And you and your teams have really helped open my eyes to what on-demand pay can mean from an access perspective. So I'm really excited about the conversation. Before we get into too much more, I do want to say to everyone who's watching, we love the live interaction. So if any of you have comments or questions, please share them in the chat and we will see them and we will answer them as we're able. And for anyone who's watching on YouTube, please do me a big favor, hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to me. And then you'll always have access to all of the content from our week over week shows. We do this every Tuesday. Hit the bell so you're notified as soon as a new episode is uploaded. So got that part out of the way. So Jeanniey, I want to share, this is the first time I've done this, but I do have a couple of slides that I would love for you to kind of talk us through when we look at how on-demand pay can really transform access and equity and what that might look like to folks who might not have thought about it in the ways that you guys are sharing. So I put the slide up here, and if you can walk us through this, I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I walk you through the slide, I just first of all, I want to say I cannot believe that you're an actual YouTube promoter right now. That's just like subscribe, subscribe. I think it's awesome. So I'm gonna share this everywhere and tell everyone to subscribe. I can't wait to see your TikTok channel when it starts. I just like had to throw that out there because
Now you're pushing it, right? I can't even figure out Instagram, and you want me on TikTok, okay?
I want to see the table, like a seat at the table, the dance that we all have to do when we join your show in the future. Because I mean, not only did you bring such incredible insights to HR, especially with the business of HR, but I love how you're making it so personal. So I had to get that out of the way and talking
Thank you.
talking
Yes.
about the slide that you did successfully pull up. So congratulations with that. You know, I before I was at DailyPay, I was the global chief marketing officer at Mercer, and we used to talk a lot about just equity in the workplace, the gender equality, and the gap. And whenever we would talk to any clients on a global stage, we would talk about the fact that you can't solve a problem without knowing the root cause. And before you try and do anything in your organization around DE&I in any perspective, you need to stop and you need to get the data for your specific organization, because there are so many reports out there that will tell you X percentage of people live like this, Y percentage live like that. This chart is one of them, but this chart is a general average across many, many company sets of data. Your company could be, and most likely is, very different in certain aspects from this, and I'll talk about that in a second. But understanding where you have gaps is the first step to determining what types of solutions you need to take. And so this is really just an informational slide. We all talk about DE&I, but I don't know that anything has been demonstrated as eloquently and simply as I've seen it in this slide, where you just look at family net worth by race or ethnicity. And you can just see the household, the family's net worth, and what it looks like comparatively and where the opportunities are. So, looking at the left hand of this slide, you know, for African American, Black, Hispanic, or Latino families, there is a true need to help them grow the entire family's net worth. And while you might think that you only have one person from that family working for your organization, maybe you have a couple people and you can't do that much, really every change that you make from a financial wellness standpoint can go a long way to help the entire family. Most simply, from the fact that when you can put in financial wellness solutions like Daily Pay that enable Black, African American, Hispanic, and Latino families to eliminate overdraft fees, non sufficient funds fees, and payday loans, you're saving that family $1,200 a year. And if a family is making just minimum wage at $15, that's $30,000 a year. It's a pretty significant savings when you look at it overall. So there is a tremendous impact you can have on a whole family just by taking small steps at your organization. The chart on the right goes one step further and it talks about not just family net worth, but debt measures by race and ethnicity, looking at what the median debt is in these different groups, looking at what the housing debt is. We all have mortgages, most likely. So that, you know, everybody has some sort of housing debt. Credit card debt, you can see where it goes higher. It's a challenge that's plaguing us all. And then you've got debt payments, where you're looking at over 40% of your income for loans that need to be paid back, whether it's student loans, whether it's just debt consolidation loans, anything else out there. The numbers are pretty staggering comparatively. And when you take those numbers and compare it to the family net worth, what you're looking at is a huge opportunity to help families really get on their feet and make positive movements forward.
It really is staggering when you look at it like that. When we look at 29.5% versus 46.8, 46.2, and 37.3 from a median debt to asset ratio. That's huge. So when we think about what that means, that's where generational wealth and financial health and well-being really, I think, and maybe I'm misinterpreting this, but I think that that's a really clear indicator of where the gaps lie, and how tools like DailyPay can help to shift that, so that each generation has a little bit more opportunity to reduce the debt and increase the assets, because that's, I feel as though that's been a big missing link in all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, what we just saw, we're looking at different ethnic groups. When you look at it by different age demographics, there's different cut. When you look at it, men and women in the workplace, it's a different cut. I just saw a report yesterday that showed that COVID has had the biggest impact on women in the workforce, especially moms. A lot of moms have chosen not to go back to work. They're unable to go back to work, and it really is taking out a whole section for that family net worth. And I was just on the phone before having this great conversation with a professor from MIT, and we were talking about, the people that are truly living paycheck to paycheck, and is there a way that you can help them? Does financial literacy program do anything to help them get on their feet? Are companies who give access to pay as they earn it helping this type of person or not? And we went through the basic usage story, and it was, a pretty interesting conversation, because when if you're making if you made $300 in over the course of a week, and that $300 you need to take 100 out of to buy your family food, so just so they can have food on the table, some people may look down at that and say, wow, why aren't they saving? What are they doing? But when you give them the ability to take that money out because they've already earned it and it's just not payday yet, instead of getting them to the point where they have to buy food for their family and are going to payday loan companies, or going to other entities which are more predatory and are being exposed to late fees and non-sufficient fund fees down the road, where they're making a choice on, I'm going to pay the electric bill late because I need to buy my kids food. It's not a great place to be in for anybody, but when you're giving them options to avoid those fees, it sets them on a path to slowly move them forward. And over the course of a year, our data shows, research report we did with the ITAE group, that 87% of those families never have to use a payday loan again. That's $1,200 into their pocket that they're using to take care of their family, setting them on the right foot. When you
Right.
can match that with other things inside the organization, like 401k matching programs or other types of benefit programs, or even support around the healthcare savings card and the FSA cards, you can really get somebody put into a good position over time. It just takes
Mhm.
a little bit of time.
Yeah. Well, and when you think about the lack of savings, right? But being, and I say this with so much respect, but being poor, and how we define poor in the country is below a certain income level, right? So when you fall into that, it's expensive to be poor,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And your credit takes a hit. You pay higher interest rates. You have to pay higher deposits on things because you're not perceived as credit worthy as others. So the more we can help folks eliminate that perception of not being debt or credit worthy by avoiding those fees and giving them that 12, if they could save that $1,200 over a period of a few years, and then you look at compounding interest and those types of things, they really can start to build something, so
Yeah.
that either when they're ready to retire or their children are coming up, it just gives them options. And we all need that, right? Everyone needs, I think, to have more ownership over their financial health and well-being, and feel as though they have more control. With
Absolutely.
your organizations, and you guys service some of the world's, or some of the North America's most amazing organizations out there, I'd love to hear, what are some of the things that your clients are sharing with you, from feedback of their end users, and if you have any stories where you can share with us, some of the ways that people are using it, as opposed to maybe ways we might have originally thought people might use it.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's pretty interesting because we see just a wide range of usage for a whole slew of reasons. And what I love about it is a lot of the people that use Daily Pay are using it in a very creative and intelligent way that I don't even think we expected the usage to happen for. But it's like I mentioned, you have that group of people who are living paycheck to paycheck and truly rely on services like Daily Pay who can help them put food on the table for their families as they're working themselves out and getting themselves into a better financial situation. For those people and for the rest of the Daily Pay users as well, the first thing that benefits them is, everything around this pay transparency element. When you open up the Daily Pay app, you can actually see your Daily Pay balance, how much money you've earned to date in real time. We see that employees are checking this up to 6 times a day. Now, I can promise you that there's probably very few of your listeners that wake up and check their bank account 6 times a day because really what's going to change? Not that much. You can watch bills get paid if everything's electronic, but that's not that fun to see your balance go down. On the other side of the world, when you log into Daily Pay and you start your shift and you have $74.10 in there, and then halfway through your shift, you check it, you see that, wow, I've worked a few hours. Now I'm up to almost $250. And then at the end of the day, you can see that, you've made up to $500. It's kind of motivating. And as a result, you're just unexpectedly motivated to stay an extra hour if your employer needs you. And in this labor market, your employer needs you. You're, incentivized to pick up extra shifts so that you can make it to that next goal. You can see exactly where you sit from a financial standpoint. And for, the African American and Hispanic families that are in those lower net worth categories, that's a big deal because they can see with certainty for the first time ever how much money they're making, and they can see and project out how much money they're going to need, which helps to reduce that financial stress, which we all know is one of the top 3 drivers of whole wellness and just all over mental wellness. And so that's really, really important. Now, when people are using it, look, you've got the paycheck to paycheck people. Those people, great, they have it. It's a utility for them. You have people that use it for an unexpected expense. I recently got a bill in the mail for a dental visit that my daughter had, and it was for $326. It just annoys me because shouldn't healthcare work better to cover that? And I paid $326 when she went to the dentist on the first time, so I thought it was a mistake, but an unexpected expense. It's not something that happens all the time, but easier to take care of that than to take, with Daily Pay and have it just off your plate. You don't even need to think about it again, than to leave it sitting there where it accrues late fees and interest rates and things like that. But we also see a lot of proactive usage, interestingly, in the healthcare space, where you can have a job, and as you do certain more hours, kind of like HR accreditation, as you do more hours of accreditation, then you're eligible for a higher base salary, you're eligible for a promotion, you're eligible for an increase. We actually see a number of people in the healthcare space using the money that they earn in Daily Pay proactively to speed up and accelerate their accreditation so they can move to the next level in their career or the next level of pay. And that is such a great forward thinking way to take care of your family and to think about how you can gain control over that. Because after all, you've already earned it. It's your money. Why not put it to use for you instead of making it just sit there and waiting a week or two until you can activate the next segment in your training class? And so that's fantastic. We see, especially now while interest rates are low, a lot of people getting their money. They earn, it's in their Daily Pay balance. They're taking it out. They're paying down high balance credit cards so their credit score can go up so that they can get a better refinance rate on a car or a house. And you saw across every ethnicity, we all have housing debt. So anytime that you can refinance and get that interest rate down, to your earlier point, it's better. And that saves, thousands and tens of thousands over the long run when you're looking at a mortgage or looking at, just repaying your car back, which is fantastic. I love to see the people that take their money out and invest it either when the market goes down, they'll access their money and invest in a certain stock, or they'll invest in Bitcoin, which I know nothing about, so I can't tell you if that's a good decision on their side or not, but it seems like it might pay off. Really, people are taking advantage of these great offers that neobanks have. Hey, I've already earned $600. If I take 100 out and open up this bank account at XYZ neobank, I'm going to get a $300 bonus. I mean, people are making their money work for them in these really smart ways because they have control over how and when they access it, which is so great. And so those are just like user story sides. But oftentimes, we forget to talk about the impact for the just overall economy and the small business owner. Because right now, if you're waiting until the 15th and the 30th to get your paycheck, as a small business owner, you're staffing up when stocking your stores for the 15th and 30th, you're staffing your people to support that there'll be more traffic then. What if people could come and shop with you early? What if the money could get into your cash register early? What if you could then bring in more supplies earlier to support more people? What if you could actually be there for everybody and it starts this economic cycle of positivity by just putting money into the economy faster, which means there's more money in the economy faster, and it gets the entire economy moving so people can hire people quicker, and it just creates a really, really positive string of good movements.
I love that. And one thing, I want to rewind just briefly because I am a horrible host and I didn't give everybody the baseline of what is DailyPay, right? So we're having this amazing conversation and it just hit me. I'm like, what if they don't know what DailyPay is? So very quickly, I want to make sure that everyone who's watching understands. DailyPay is a product that integrates with your current payroll system, and it allows your employees to access any earned but unpaid wages at any time through an app. I've been a user of this product. When I was a CHRO, I implemented it, and it was an absolute game changer for me. And it is why I have so much affinity and love for this organization, because I've seen firsthand how it can change people's lives. My own people, my own employees would come to me and say, thank you for bringing this in, because I didn't have to choose whether or not to buy medication for my kid or put gas in my car. And those are real life stories of people who, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, or as Jeannie said, you have an unexpected expense, if you get that flat tire that nobody plans for, but it happens on your way to work, well, you get a flat tire, and the snowball effect of something that might be really simple can be catastrophic when you don't have that money in your account to either replace or repair the tire. You could be out of work for a day. You could get written up for not giving proper notice. You're losing wages. There's so many things that can happen from one event if you don't have the access to the money you need to handle the event. So DailyPay is just a phenomenal product. It integrates seamlessly. I could go on and on and on. And if any of you out there are interested in learning more about DailyPay, please reach out to me. I can put you in touch with folks over there. They're just so great to work with. But in doing that, what I found is the first question a CFO or a CEO often has is, well, if people, to your point earlier, if they can't manage their money now, why would we introduce something that's going to give them access to their money earlier so they spend it all and they don't pay any of their bills? And data shows, and my experience shows, the exact opposite of that is what happens. People use the tool for episodes they need coverage with, right? So the flat tire kind of thing, the unexpected medication or illness kind of thing, but also because it's saving them the high interest, the predatory payday loans, and the insufficient fund fees, the bounce check fees from the retailers, all of these things that just add up to, I think, well over $1,200 a year, frankly, if people are in that negative cycle. And DailyPay is a solution for that. So I just want to make sure everybody hears what it is and why this is such a powerful tool. And the investment in the tool from the employer's perspective is nominal. And I mean nominal. And the benefit to your employees is astronomical. When I've used it, and I now coach and advise other organizations, and I often bring this to the table because it's also a huge attraction tool. When you think about the fight that we have right now for attracting talent at every level of the organization, but especially retail, hospitality, food service, those industries are suffering. I saw 2 or 3 restaurants in town just this past week where they're closing on different days of the week, or their hours are shrinking because they simply don't have staff to keep the doors open. So if you're in that cycle of fighting for talent, wouldn't it be great to be able to offer, work today, get paid today? And you can do that by using this tool. So it's not, I don't want you guys to think, oh, it's a payroll tool, I'm not interested. This is a benefit that helps you culturally from an attraction perspective, a retention perspective, in so many different ways. So I wanted to make sure that we set that stage, and shame on me for not doing that in the very beginning.
Hey, no, thank you for doing that. And that was a phenomenal overview of what we do. And you're right, in the labor market right now, if you're looking to differentiate, and I can go one place and get $15 an hour, or I could go across the street and get $15 an hour, getting $15 an hour and having access to it immediately very much makes a difference in people's mindset, regardless of what job, salaried or hourly. When I first started at DailyPay, and probably as I think about it, almost every job I've had, you never start right when payroll starts. Like, it's very rare, unless that's
Yeah.
a decision or a question that you make when you're, talking about your start date. So you usually have to wait 2.5, 3 weeks even to get your paycheck, or you get the partial paycheck for the first few days when payroll runs. And regardless of who you are, that is, a challenge to manage that differentiation between the two. So super important. And we find that companies these days are able to hire 53% faster when they're offering daily pay or promoting daily pay as a benefit. It's not the only benefit to provide to address your labor shortages, but it does help because people now know, with over 3 million people in the US using daily pay, a lot of people know what it means. They appreciate it. They look for it when they're looking for jobs. And so when they see that your job is offering daily pay, they jump in. And as you said, for the employer, there's absolutely no change to your current process. Nothing changes. Your payroll doesn't change. Your funding doesn't change. We actually support the access to the pay as people take it out. We reconcile with you on payday with a push of a button. It's super easy. We take your earnings files in whichever format they are, and we act as a partner for companies. And what we typically see is people will stay up to 72% longer at a company that's offering them daily pay, because again, when you're looking at leaving an organization and going to start a company where it could be up to 3 weeks before you get your first paycheck, what do they say, that it's sometimes the devil is better. So you're going to stay where you are because that company's taking care of you. And when you're looking at the number that 62% of employers feel extremely responsible for employee financial wellness right now, it makes a statement. It's a social statement for you as an organization. It's a statement towards your ESG, your DE&I. It really is just something powerful that says that you care and that you're investing in your employees. So it makes sense.
It does. And one thing I want to point out on this particular slide is 72% of employees with increased financial stress, right, would be attracted to another company that cares about their financial well-being. That's not DailyPay's information. That's PwC's wellness survey information from 2021. So I want to make sure that our listeners and the folks watching this understand that this data, it's not data that, oh, let's survey ourselves and put some numbers on a deck, right? This is validated information from PwC as well as Bank of America. And I think that's really important. 62% of employers feel extremely responsible for employee financial wellness. That's a big number. And when you look at whole person wellness, and I was on a panel earlier today and we were talking about, what does the future of leadership look like? What do we need and expect of leaders going forward? And I fundamentally believe it's that whole person wellness. We have to look at people as multidimensional, sophisticated consumers and sophisticated beings, right? And that means that they're not just like the flat one-dimensional employee. And part of that is their emotional, their physical, their mental health, but financial is so huge. And this is a tool that can really help bring that to fruition for your people. So the second part of what I really wanted to touch on today is, I do a lot of work in transforming HR teams, talent acquisition teams, and culture within organizations. And as we look at the future of the work in the HR space, and we continue to move away from a lot of the transactional work, whether it's automation, or we dissect the work and it becomes more of like a shared services where the tactical work is done there and the strategic work is done over here. The tactical work still has to happen, right? Some of those things we have to pay people. We have to enroll them in benefits. Like some of those things, they still have to happen, but the way in which we do that can be different. And the way in which we connect with people and educate them and utilize these moments can be different. I'd love to hear from you, Jeannie, how DailyPay is helping those transactional moments become points of connection. I think our listeners would be really interested in some creative ideas around how this tool could help them.
Yeah, it's funny because when you think about pay, historically, we tended to think about it as a very transactional element. You work, you get paid, okay, you move on. And there's always been that debate, do you tie pay to the performance review? And some people are say yes, and some people say no. But when you think about the impact that immediate access to your pay as you earn it has throughout the entire life experience of an employee with your company and the long lasting effects it has on your employer brand, it's pretty powerful and interesting. So, think about it. First of all, you're recruiting somebody because you're making them a promise that they'll be able to work today and get access to their pay today and have that transparency throughout their entire working experience. When you come work here, you can log into an app and you can see in real time how much money you're making. You can take that money out when you need it. You can start saving it for a future event. It's really up to you. That in itself makes a big statement about the value that you as an employer put on your employees' experience at the company, giving them that trust, establishing that trust from the very beginning that you as the employer trust them enough to come to work and you're going to give them access to what they need. You're going to do everything you can to support them. So it starts the experience off in a really positive format. The employee feels like you're there for them, you're going to be helping them. So therefore, they stay longer. Now, they're staying longer, they have the pay transparency, they're seeing what they make, they have the access, so their financial stress goes down. That improves their overall mental health and their approach to life. So now they're providing your customers a better experience. They're starting to get more positive thank yous and reviews and that affirmation, whether it's by you or whether your customers are doing it. But it just gives them a really good sense of feeling that when they come to work, they're doing something good, not just for themselves, but for the company and for the community at whole. And today, I don't know about you, Barbie, but I can't say how much culture inside an organization means to employees. I don't think there's been an interview that I've done for new employees at DailyPay in the last 6 months where the number one question that I've gotten asked as the chief marketing officer is, what's the culture like? And if I choose to work here, what can I expect from a cultural perspective? So, interestingly, DailyPay and on-demand pay gives you that sense of feeling of culture and community in a really positive way. So now, okay, you've done such a great job. The person has flourished at your company. Everything is great. Unfortunately, tight labor market, the person gets an incredible opportunity at another entity, and sadly, 72% longer than they normally would have left you, they decide to leave your company. On that exit interview, and this is the part that so many of us, often forget about, do you say, "Okay, thanks, here's your exit interview, goodbye, you'll get your check in the next few days, you can look for your check in 3 days, your check will be deposited," and then you run the risk of that percentage of calls where everyone's like, "Oh, you didn't calculate my final expense in here," or, "I didn't take 2 days of vacation, I should have been paid out more," and it becomes more of a frustrating or even a neutral conversation with the employee who's leaving you versus giving them their final paycheck through DailyPay. It's right there. It's validated while you're walking through the exit interview and the final elements. Everybody leaves on a positive note. You can thank them for the work. The last thing they remember is you gave them money as they walked out the door. Now that seems crazy, but it's the last thing and it's a positive thing. And they think, wow, this company really cares about me. So they're talking to their friends, they're talking to their families, they're on their social groups, and they're talking about what a great experience it was working for company XYZ. That impacts your employer brand as you move forward. And it's so important that you think about turning something as small and transactional as pay into this full cycle cradle to grave employee experience. It can really make a difference for you.
It really can. And not only is it a great experience, but certain states, I know Minnesota and California are two of them, where employees can demand their final paycheck within 24 hours. And when you don't have a tool like DailyPay in place, that causes quite a scramble for your payroll team. And what if you don't have an on-site payroll person to, cut a physical check? Then you have to go through your payroll provider, and there can be a lot of challenges around getting that final check within 24 hours. And if you don't do that, you can face financial penalties from the state should the employee decide to pursue that. Why do I know this? Because I've had that happen to me before. So I share with everyone, like, if you're in a state where you've got those regulations and those criteria, this is yet another reason why DailyPay is such an awesome product for you and your people, because it eliminates that scramble and that hustle that you and your entire team might have to circle the wagons to get that final paycheck within 24 hours. It really creates a very seamless exit experience for everyone, especially when you think about the folks who you're exiting the company for reasons of whether it's discipline or poor performance. And those are the conversations none of us like to have, but they're necessary and we have to have them. So if you can have that conversation with as much grace and dignity as possible, and also allow that person to access their money immediately, it helps that entire situation go a little bit more smoothly, and that person have just a little bit more dignity upon their exit. So I think that's a phenomenal reason, if for nothing else, that's a great reason to have this product in place for your folks. I just can't, I think about all the different reasons why I am such a big cheerleader for this particular organization, because I've seen what it can do real time. Another thing I love is that there's the ability for employees to save money through the app, right? They can move money. There's so many different nuances that exist now, even since I was a user many years ago, and features that didn't exist then that exist now. Jeannie, what are some of those features that folks might be really interested in learning about that can help their people to create, long-term financial stability?
Yeah, we're always adding new features and new capabilities. I would say for employees, that pay transparency is super critical. I mean, just being able to see your daily pay balance, and I know your puppy agrees with me, so that's perfect. So I think that that's one. The savings feature has become a very valuable tool. I kind of describe it as you're saving from yourself. But having the ability to go in and say, as soon as I earn $50, I want to put it into my savings account is really, really important, because you often think about, okay, as soon as I get my paycheck, I'm going to put $50 away towards the family vacation next year or towards holiday gifts or whatever the situation is. And in this case, you can save from yourself immediately, and you can set your timing on that. What I love about it is, as you're saving, um, the employer is getting a report of, here are the people that are putting money in their savings account. And we always challenge employers to then take that list and go back and look at your 401k contributions, especially if you have a 100% match, and use this as an educational opportunity to sit down with somebody and say, hey, Barbie, look, I see you're saving $50 every pay period. That's awesome. I'm sure you need some of it liquid and easily available, but we've got this 401k program with a match, and I don't think you're participating. If you save 25 through DailyPay and put the other 25 into your 401k, we're going to match it with another $25. Your 50 just turned into 75 just like that. And a lot of employees didn't even know that option existed. They don't know how to necessarily use it to their advantage. So this is fantastic. And I see some great comments about
Yeah.
Target. And yes, Target is one of our favorite organizations to work with because they are so focused on, holistic financial well-being, and it's something that we love to offer. So the savings feature, you can set up savings goals, like every time I make $50, put it into my account. You can also save on demand. Oh, I just picked up an extra shift. I looked at my pay balance. I don't need that much money for my bills. I'm going to put another 100 aside before, the rest of the before traditional payday comes out. Or we also have what we call Roundup Savings. Nobody that uses DailyPay takes out a solid dollar amount. The only reason we do it at ATMs is because that's the only choice we have. But realistically, if you go to an ATM, you're not taking out $50. So just randomly, hey, I just want to have $50 with me. You're taking out $50 because maybe you have no cash with you. You're taking out $50 because you're going somewhere and you're going to need about $50 to spend in the day. But it's never like a specific amount. So people that use DailyPay take out non-specific amounts, like $10.23, $47.12, because they're usually paying a bill. Oh, I'm going to, go buy my daughter's medicine, and I know it's going to cost $11.23. So they're moving that much over. We ask them to round up save, similar to what you see in all the retail stores about, hey, make this $12 to get people started savings, and that saving adds up over time. So we've got the savings features for employers. We have off cycle payments. So even if people aren't using DailyPay, but there's a financial disaster and your check printing machine can't be accessed, your payroll company can't get the mail out due to postal service delays, you can still pay people, even if they're not signed up for DailyPay, through the DailyPay app, so they can still access their funds and move it to whatever account they choose. We also have, payroll anomaly detectors that take a look at what the earnings file looks like to reduce any issues that may have come on the earnings file, where Barbie normally makes $100 a day and the earnings file came in and said she made $1 million today. Before we give Barbie $1 million, we're going to let the payroll team know that somebody might have leaned on the keyboard when that was getting inputted. So you can address those errors before payday to avoid all those payday challenges around correcting those issues. So there's so many features. The availability to see how many days until payday, to look at scheduling, to look at timing, to look at what bills you have due, the budgeting feature. We're just always adding new capabilities.
It's amazing. It really, really is amazing. And we've had a couple of folks ask, like, how do I get DailyPay? So anybody who's interested, you can shoot me an email. I threw my email address up here. I am more than happy to connect you. DailyPay, you can access the tool through your employer. It doesn't work just for an individual. So if I wanted to be able to just go out there and do it, my employer has to be a part of the DailyPay family in order for that to actually work for you. An individual can't just log in and do it. So I do want to make sure everybody understands that your employer has to be integrated with DailyPay to make this happen. But as a former user, I can tell you that it is an easy implementation. It is seamless, and DailyPay carries all the heavy weight of making sure that that implementation goes really, really well. And I want to say if you're on ADP, it's a really easy implementation because they're in the ADP marketplace. And so it's a great way to make it happen that way as well. So if anybody is interested, reach out to me. I will get you in touch or get you the information you need. I'm happy to make introductions. They have an amazing team over there of people who can educate. And I also love that you bring in financial wellness tools. There's education for all of the employees that is outside of the DailyPay procedure and process. It's an overall financial wellness education. There are those tools. There's a lot of great information on the website, but you offer a whole suite of educational information that I think is really valuable as well for folks, because where else are many of us? Not everybody has a financial planner. Not everybody has someone to interpret how money moves and how to maximize your money. And so some of the tools and offerings you guys have really helps. I've seen them and they're quite robust. So I appreciate that. All right, Jeanniey. Well, is there anything you would like to share with us before you leave? This has been such an amazing conversation. You know, I'm a huge fan, and I will definitely have you back as often as I possibly can. But anything you want to share with us before we wrap up today?
Just as always, Barbie, thank you for having me on the show and finally give me a seat at the table. I appreciate it. I love what you're doing in the space. I love how you're monitoring everything. I don't know if you've announced yet that you have created this International On-Demand Pay Council. We're thrilled to be one of the founding members with you. Just looking at this trend holistically, globally, I think is a really big deal. And last thing that I would say is probably since we work together, because it's fairly new. We have built the capability to do, we've created our own DailyPay marketplace. So now we've got the ability to do API integrations into different UIs. So if you have your own employee app already and you just want to integrate the DailyPay balance and the DailyPay capabilities into it, we can do that. And we're also working with a number of HCM companies and other institutions on white labeling, because I think, as this space continues to grow in popularity, some companies would prefer to continue to maintain their brand and just have something powered by DailyPay. So we're supporting that as well. So if there's anybody that's listening to all of the great things you have to say, that's looking for that type of solution, get them in touch with me, and we would love to have a conversation.
Yes, absolutely. And I will just briefly touch. So my website is businessofhr.com. If anyone who is watching or listening is an on-demand pay provider and is interested in joining the International On-Demand Pay Council, there is a page that is now live on the website. There'll be a lot more information coming out about this. I wasn't sure if it was time to share it just yet, but I'm super excited. As you can tell, I have a lot of passion around leveling the financial playing field for folks from an inclusion perspective and an equity perspective. I have a lot of passion around this, and to have the opportunity to bring in on-demand pay providers from around the world and help level this playing field for folks it's such a big win, and it's a huge passion project for me. So if any of you happen to be watching and would like to join the International On-Demand Pay Council, you can go to my website. There's information there for you, and we would love to have you join us. So thank you, Jeanniey. Always amazing to chat with you. I learn something new from you every single time we talk. Hopefully the next time I see you will be in person in fabulous New York, and we'll see one another and have a wonderful dinner or something.
Yeah,
but
that sounds amazing.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And again, I'm going to reiterate, if you're watching this not live, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's a button somewhere around that you can click on, and the little bell that you can also click on, so you're always notified every time we upload a new episode, which is weekly. And if you're able to watch it live, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here, and have a wonderful rest of your week, everybody.